What were you doing in 2012? Can you remember? Doesn't matter. All you need to know is what Messi was doing. He was busy tearing football apart. You see, in 2012, Messi didn't just play football, he broke it. The Argentine legend was the best player in the world in the early 2010s. But in 2012, it felt like he ascended to a different stratosphere. Guys, what happens when the best player in the world has his best year ever? Well, come and find out as we take a deep dive into how Lionel Messi broke football. Let's just first address the elephant in the room. When you hear Lionel Messi and 2012 in the same sentence, your mind goes to one number: 91. This was the year that Messi set an unbreakable record by scoring 91 goals in a calendar year. You see, going into the year 2012, the record for most goals in a calendar year was 85, which was set by Gerd Müller 40 years prior. Nobody thought that record would ever be touched until Messi came along. Messi officially surpassed this record with a brace against Real Betis on the 9th of December 2012. And being the sweet guy that he is, he sent Gerd Müller a signed shirt that said "with respect and admiration." He would then go on to score a few goals before the end of the year, closing 2012 with a record 91 goals, 79 for Barcelona and 12 for Argentina. He was recognized by Guinness World Records and was given a title for his incredible achievement. But what if we told you that this was just one of almost 20 records Messi set that year? And no, we're not exaggerating here. When we tell you this guy broke football, we mean every single word of it. So, in March 2012, Lionel Messi scored 5 goals against Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League, thus becoming the first player to score 5 goals in a single Champions League knockout game. This is a record that has still not been surmounted. And it was crazy, because this 5-goal haul came just 2 weeks after he scored 4 in a single La Liga game against Valencia. Those 5 goals made Messi the top scorer of that season's Champions League campaign with 14 goals, making him the joint record holder for most goals in a single European Cup season at the time. He also became one of just 2 players at the time to have finished as European Cup top scorer in 4 different seasons. Still, in March, he went on to score a hat-trick in a La Liga game against Granada to become Barcelona's all-time top scorer, beating the record that had stood for 57 years. Guess what? Messi was only 24 years old at the time. It was so mind-boggling. He was still so young, but he was already getting into conversations with all-time greats like Pele and Maradona. And if you watched him play, you'd understand why. But that's not even all for records. Messi finished the 2011-12 season with 50 La Liga goals, making him the player with the most goals ever scored in a single La Liga season. In all competitions, he scored 73 goals for Barcelona. And yes, you guessed it, that too was a record. With that, he became the player with the most goals in all competitions in a single season in the history of European club football, beating Gerd Müller's 39-year record by 6 goals. And you know what was crazy? Messi was scoring this many goals while also creating goals for his teammates. He provided 19 assists in La Liga and 32 in all competitions. And of course, he always did it against the biggest clubs. He scored 4 goals and provided 1 assist against Atletico Madrid, scored 2 and provided an assist against Villarreal, scored 4 and provided 2 assists against Valencia, scored against Sevilla and provided an assist against Real Madrid. Altogether, he ended up with 69 goal contributions in 37 La Liga appearances that season, also breaking the record for most home goals and most home matches scored in a single La Liga season. That sounds crazy, doesn't it? But listen to this. In all competitions that season, he had 105 goal contributions in 60 appearances. Yes, 105! He did all of that in just 1 season, guys. For context, it took Erling Haaland 2 full seasons to reach 100 goal contributions for Manchester City, and he's supposed to be a goal machine. Messi did all that in just 1 season. He was so insane, but trust us, it gets even more insane. You'll find out how much more insane it gets in a bit. But if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, back to Messi. He wrapped up the 2011-12 season in incredible fashion and didn't skip a beat at the beginning of the 2012-13 season, even though there was a huge change in the club's hierarchy. As you probably know, Pep Guardiola left Barcelona in 2012 and a rather inexperienced Tito Villanova took over from him. But that did not stop Messi from continuing to tear the sport apart. He opened the season with a brace against Real Sociedad and went on to score 6 goals and provide 1 assist in his first 4 games of the season. In October 2012, he scored 7 goals and provided 1 assist in 3 La Liga games. And one of those games was El Clasico against Real Madrid, where he scored a brace in a 2-2 draw. Between November and December 2012, Messi went on a run of 6 La Liga games, where he scored a brace in each game. He was truly alien, and the records continued to tumble. He helped Barcelona amass 55 points halfway into the 2012-13 season, which instantly became a Spanish record. To date, that's still the greatest ever start to a La Liga season. Led by Messi, Barcelona would go on to finish the season with a joint record 100 points in La Liga. Then, of course, like we said earlier, his brace in the league game against Real Betis on the 9th of December 2012 meant that he broke the record for most goals scored in a calendar year. A record that will frankly never be broken. As expected, he won the FIFA Ballon d'Or in December of that year. And you couldn't even debate it because he was unarguably the best player on the planet that year. Nobody came close. And even that was a record. With that, Messi became the first ever player to win more than 3 Ballon d'Or awards, beating legends like Johan Cruyff, Michel Platini, and Marco van Basten. Messi did this at just 25 years of age, don't forget that. He also became the only player in history to date to ever win the Ballon d'Or 4 years in a row. Messi also went on to score in 21 straight La Liga games, starting in November 2012. To date, that still stands as a Spanish record. And you know what was particularly crazy about Messi's 2012? He was dominant in every single competition. He scored in La Liga, the Champions League, Copa del Rey, Club World Cup, UEFA Super Cup, and World Cup qualifiers. Every competition he participated in, he made sure to leave his mark. And when it came to awards, he cleared them all as well. In 2012, he won the Pichichi Trophy, the European Golden Shoe, the UEFA Champions League Top Scorer Award, the La Liga Best Player Award, the Ballon d'Or, and a few other awards here and there. But even with how staggering his numbers and accolades were, it wasn't just all about that. You needed to watch Messi to fully appreciate how special he was in the year 2012. He was unplayable. You see, at this point in his career, Messi had developed into the perfect and most well-rounded footballer. Primarily a right winger, Messi could also play as a left winger, a centre forward, a false 9, and an attacking midfielder. And in every position, he was the best in the world. We're talking about a guy who was perhaps the most creative player, the best dribbler, and the best goal scorer on the planet all at the same time. He was just too special. In 2012 though, he played mainly as a false 9, which allowed him to drop back and be very involved in the build-up while being the team's main goal scorer. Having Messi on your team was really like having 2 players. He would come back to start an attack, and in no time you'd find him in the box ready to finish it off. His dribbling, incredible balance, technical superiority, especially in tight spaces, long-range shooting and low center of gravity, which meant you couldn't easily get the ball off him, made him the perfect tool to have when going up against a low block. At the same time, his acceleration, dribbling, vision, and sheer intelligence and trickery with the ball made him the perfect tool to have in a game where there's a lot of space. Essentially, he was the perfect tool to have against any opponent and for any game state. He was just the perfect footballer. And what's funny is that this version of Lionel Messi was a little overweight. He looked like the guy next door, like a regular Joe. He certainly didn't look like a top athlete, but he was busy tearing the sport apart week in, week out. But of course, it'd be ignorant to talk about Messi's performances without talking about the incredible support system he had. Messi was part of one of the greatest football sides in history, surrounded by some of the best players in history, and was mentored by one of the greatest coaches in history. We've seen how some great players failed to live up to expectations because they were handicapped by the team they found themselves in or the coach they had to play under. But you could say that Messi was lucky to have the best of both while he was in his prime. Going into the 2011-12 season, Barcelona were the defending European champions, playing the most dominant style of football and controlling games for fun. In this team, Messi was surrounded by all-timers like Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets, and was being coached by Pep Guardiola. And even after Guardiola left, the man who took over was a very competent coach. The first man to ever lead Barcelona to a 100-point La Liga season. And honestly, credit should go to just his teammates, because Messi's rivals and opponents helped push him to his absolute best in 2012. At the start of the 2011-12 season, Messi and Ronaldo had been playing in Spain together for 2 seasons, and they were pushing each other season after season. Ronaldo beat Messi to the Pichichi and the European Golden Shoe in 2011. And that seemed to fire Messi up to get it back the following year. You could say that that was one of the motivations behind one of the greatest ever individual seasons and calendar years in football history. But wait a second, is 2012 Lionel Messi the best version of a footballer there has ever been? Do you think any version of any other player can beat that version of Messi? Tell us in the comments. Anyway, now that we've talked about prime Messi, let's now look at prime Barcelona, which he was an integral part of. If you want to know how good prime Barcelona was, click on this link and we'll tell you all about it.